Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you.
So Juvenile Hall wanted to know why you're videotaping their building.
Just gathering content for a little story I'm working on.
Okay. For like school or something?
I have a blog and such.
Okay. Do you have ID on you?
I prefer not to identify.
Okay, I'd like to see it. You're required by law to give me your ID.
Actually, unless I've been suspected of committing a crime, I'm not required to.
You're filming a government building.
From a public sidewalk.
Right, that's
which is
fine.
perfectly legal.
Right. I have the right to detain you, okay? And you're required to identify yourself.
Well,
You're not being charged with anything.
I understand that. I understand that, officer, but I do understand California law. Unless you have reasonable suspicion that I've actually committed a crime.
Okay.
Filming a government building from a public sidewalk, which is protected by the First Amendment, is not a crime.
No, but I have the right to detain you to figure out what's going on, okay?
Okay.
You're dressed in all BDUs. You got a video camera, 2 video cameras, okay?
Okay.
Juvenile Hall is okay. If no crime is committed, then no big deal, okay? But I do have the right to identify you. You are required to give me your ID.
No, I'm not. Unless you have reasonable suspicion that I've actually committed a crime, I'm not required to identify myself.
Yes,
no, I'm not.
Being detained.
Okay, officer, what am I being detained for?
For suspicion of why you're dressed and acting all weird in front of Juvenile Hall.
Well, suspicion is not a crime.
Right, it's not probable cause. It's reasonable suspicion to detain you to investigate what's going on.
Okay, and I just told you what's going on. Well, officer, at this point, I'd like to speak to a supervisor, so I would ask that you call a sergeant out here.
Absolutely.
How you doing, dude?
Hi, how you doing, sir?
Good. What's going on today?
Just gathering content for a little story.
For what?
Just gathering content, like B-roll, for a little story I'm doing.
Cool. Story on.
It's just for a blog I write.
Or supply it up?
I'd rather not say it this time, because it's not published yet, so, just getting some B-roll.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but you understand why we came out here?
I understand.
Okay. So, do you think it's a little weird that you're out here filming Juvenile Hall?
Okay. Well, I've been on the public sidewalk the whole time.
No, that's
I
fine.
haven't gone on any restricted areas.
Wrong with that.
Okay.
But we just want to make sure that you're not coming out here trying to snoop around and do something. Because people tend to do reconnaissance,
Yeah.
You want to talk to the sergeant, I take it?
Yeah, because like the other officer, she asked for my ID. I respectfully declined because, I know what my rights are. Unless there's reasonable suspicion that a crime has actually been committed, I'm not required to identify myself. So the other officer here is suggesting that she has the right to ID me. I'm saying no. So at this point, I think it would be best to have a supervisor come out and we can clarify all this.
That's fine.
Okay.
Whatever. We can do that way.
So just to clarify, I am being legally detained. I'm not free to leave.
As far as I know, you haven't done anything criminal. You just asked who you were.
Okay. Well, the other officer here said that I was being detained. So.
I think it's suspicious that you're out here filming at Juvenile Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, I was detaining you to find out who you are.
Oh, so I am being detained.
I am detained.
I'm not free to leave then. Okay. All right.
Not accusing you of any crime or anything. Just trying to figure out why you're out in the world.
Okay. And like I said, I understand that. You got to call for service. You have to come out and investigate. I explained to you what I was doing. But, and you've even admitted that I'm not doing anything wrong. There's no crime being committed. Then I really don't understand why I'm being detained then.
Do you want to speak to our sergeant?
If I'm being detained, yes.
As the officers continue pressing for identification, the man remains calm, standing firm on his rights. He knows the law. He knows that filming from a public sidewalk is perfectly legal, yet the female officer keeps insisting that he must show his ID even without reasonable suspicion. And now a sergeant arrives, stepping in with authority, trying to justify their actions, claiming they have a right to detain and identify anyone filming a government building. But the truth is they do not have that. Power without an actual crime. The camera keeps rolling, capturing every word, every move as the officers twist the law to fit their narrative. This moment reveals how easily some in uniform forget the Constitution they swore to protect and how quickly they turn a peaceful citizen into a suspect just for holding a camera. The tension grows. But the man refuses to back down. He stands for every American who values the freedom to record in public without fear.
Sergeant Lara, Santa Maria Police Department. Today's date is 1/23 of 2017. The time is 16:13 hours. Are you getting that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I want it stamped too, okay?
Okay.
How can we help you?
Nothing. I just, your officers made contact with me. I explained to them I'm gathering content for a little story I'm doing.
Alrighty.
And one of your officers, she wanted to see my ID. I told her I'd prefer not to.
Actually, we do have the right to ask you for your ID because they call us here. It is a juvenile hall facility here, so we do have every authority. Okay, so if you're doing a story, yes, we do have that right, sir.
Okay, and I explained to your officer that unless I understand California law, I've been through this before.
Okay.
Unless you have reasonable suspicion that I've actually committed a crime.
No.
Hear me out,
okay? Okay.
Listen to her.
So we have people that do reconnaissance on police, on our juvenile hall facilities, jail facilities, people that gather information, take video surveillance, try to identify us, identify our vehicles, and do all that kind of stuff for malicious purposes, okay? And I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing out here. You're saying that you're doing this for a blog or whatever. So we're detaining you to figure out whether or not you're doing this for malicious purposes or completely innocent purposes. And if it's for completely innocent purposes, that's totally fine. But we do have the right to identify you, okay? And if we ID you and everything's good to go, then you're fine.
And I have a right to decline because I know the law. I know my right. I'm not trying to be confrontational or anything. But unless you have reasonable suspicion that I've actually committed a crime, I'm not required
So listen to the officer
to identify myself.
So the way a detention works, right? We don't have probable cause at this point. The reason we detain people is to investigate something to see whether or not a crime has been committed. So when we detain somebody, at that point, we do not know whether or not a crime has been committed or not yet. Okay, it's during the detention we do our investigation to identify that person and find out why they're there doing what they're doing. And if no crime has been committed, there's no probable cause, and that person is free to go. But during a detention, that's when we do our investigation. At that point, the person is required to identify themselves by law. No crime has been committed that I can tell at this point. You're right. That's correct.
Okay.
But we still have the right to detain you and to identify you. Okay?
Okay, but what probable cause is there to suspect that I have committed a crime? I'm filming from a public
sidewalk. If there was
sidewalk.
probable cause, you would be in handcuffs already. Right. That's what she's trying to explain to you.
Okay.
But we do have, exactly, detention just to investigate. And we didn't come out here on our own. They contacted us.
Yeah, you got to call for service. I understand that.
And if you know the law and everything, you know that part too. Okay? And bottom line is, the officer's right, and we do have a job to do, officer. Taxpayers pay us to do a job, and this is part of the job.
Okay.
Okay? So, well, she's asking for identification. No, we're talking to. She's not asking for too much.
Okay. And I'm respectfully declining.
And this is what happens when those who are meant to enforce the law do not even understand it anymore. A police force that should protect rights instead chooses to challenge them. They fail to see the difference between suspicion and a real crime. And this ignorance is what fuels distrust across the nation from a female officer who does not know the law to a sergeant who refuses to listen. This entire encounter shows exactly why it is so important to know your rights, because when the people forget their rights, those in power will take them away. Always remember, knowledge is power, awareness is protection, and your camera is your greatest defense against misconduct. Stand strong, stay aware, and always record the police.
Okay. Well, we do need an ID, sir.
Okay, well, I'm not going to provide identification. Like I said, I've been through this before. You know, I've been through similar situations.
This way, start our camera too, so that way, I mean, everything's recorded. Okay. Sir? So, yeah, what was the call? All right, this is what's going to happen.
Okay, sir.
Okay. We're going to send our office to take care of your business. Okay. And then whatever you need for your blog, do the filming here from here. And obviously that's private property over there.
Okay.
And then just leave when you're ready. Okay. But we're going to stand around here to make sure that the facility is safe.
Okay, that's
because there are kids in here, and that's our main concern here. Kids. Okay. So we don't know what you're doing here, and we don't feel comfortable just leaving you here. So we are going to stick around. And then when you're done, man, you can leave.
I can't. We're already ready.
Well, then we can get going then, okay?
Okay.
And everything will be documented. We're going to report everything, all the pictures and everything. So we have our own little information too. Okay? All right. So whenever you're ready, you can get out of here or whatever you're going to do.
So I'm no longer being detained. I'm ready to go.
You're free to go.
Okay.
And this is what has come to a police force that is meant to uphold the law yet fails to understand even the most basic parts of it. It is no surprise that crime continues to rise when those in uniform can no longer tell the difference between what is right and what is wrong. It makes you wonder, are they truly enforcing the law or simply enforcing their feelings from an officer who does not know the law to a sergeant who refuses to listen? To the public, the situation only proves how far things have fallen. And this is exactly why it is so important for you to know your rights to stand firm and help spread awareness to everyone around you. So support the movement by subscribing, like the video, and leave a comment to keep the message alive. And always remember, always record the police.